Artificial intelligence. It's completely transforming our world, right? It promises to make everything faster, smarter, more efficient. But as we weave these incredible tools into the very fabric of our lives, we've got to ask a really important question. How do we make sure AI is being used for good? How do we build it to be fair, to be transparent, and to hold it accountable? This explainer is all about digging into the human side of that huge challenge.
To really get what's at stake here, we have to look past the ones and zeros and into the real world, because that's where the consequences of getting AI wrong are showing up every single day.
So let's put ourselves in a hiring manager's shoes. Let's call her Anita. Her tech firm just rolled out this brand new AI tool that's supposed to be a game changer for hiring. But she starts noticing a pattern that feels a little too familiar and, frankly, pretty troubling.
I mean, the sales pitch was a dream come true. This amazing new AI was going to sift through thousands of resumes and just pluck out the absolute best candidates. No more bias, no more burnout from reading applications, just pure data-driven perfection. What could go wrong?
Well, here's the twist. The AI was specifically designed to be gender blind. But the data it learned from, a decade's worth of the company's actual hiring decisions, was mostly male. So the AI didn't learn to be objective, it just learned the company's old biases. It literally taught itself that male candidates were better and started automatically downgrading resumes from perfectly qualified women. The engineers, they tried everything. They tried to tweak the code, to patch the bias out of it, but it was just baked in too deep. The whole project had to be scrapped. It was a total failure, a huge waste of time and money. But it ended up being a really valuable, if painful, lesson about a much, much bigger problem.
Anita's story, it's not a one-off. It's actually the perfect illustration of the ethical tightrope we're all walking with AI. And to walk that tightrope, we first have to get on the same page about what we're even talking about.
So, AI ethics. It sounds complicated, but at its heart, it's really about one thing: making sure these incredibly powerful systems are used in ways that are fair, that we can understand, and that someone is responsible for. It's basically the human rulebook for our own smart machines.
And this breaks it down into three core ideas: fairness, transparency, and accountability. Now, what's really cool is how they connect. Think about it. You can't really have fairness if you have no idea how an AI made a decision, right? That's transparency. And you can't have accountability, knowing who's responsible, if you can't see the process and assign responsibility. These three things, they're the absolute bedrock for building any kind of trust in AI.
And this gets to the heart of the matter. When we talk about AI bias, we're not just talking about a glitch or a bug in the code. It's not that simple. See, AI learns from the data we feed it. And if that data comes from a world full of historical inequality and prejudice, well, the AI is a very good student. It learns, copies, and sometimes even amplifies those very same biases.
Okay, so we get what AI bias is, but understanding the concept is one thing, seeing its real-world impact is something else entirely. The cost of getting this wrong isn't just an academic debate, it has huge tangible consequences.
First, let's just acknowledge the sheer scale of the opportunity here. We are talking about AI potentially adding nearly $16 trillion to the global economy. The potential for innovation, for growth, for good, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. But with that kind of power comes some serious risk.
And business leaders are definitely seeing that risk. Look at this. A full 42% are very or extremely concerned about the damage a biased AI could do to their reputation. I mean, one bad incident can destroy customer trust, open you up to lawsuits, and just tank a brand that took years to build.
And this slide just lays out the stakes so clearly. It's the two sides of the AI coin. The promise? Revolutionize healthcare. The peril? A real-world healthcare algorithm in the US looked at healthcare costs to predict health needs. But because of systemic inequities, Black patients often had less money spent on their care, so the AI concluded they were healthier than equally sick white patients. And as a result, they got less care. It's devastating. And we see it again with Amazon's hiring tool. Just like in Anita's story, it was found to be biased against women and had to be shut down.
Okay, so the problem is clear. The stakes are incredibly high. The good news? Companies and researchers are starting to build a playbook for how to actually do this right. So let's take a look at what that path forward looks like.
Big players like Microsoft are getting really intentional about this. Their framework is a cycle, which is key. They build with responsibility in mind from day one. They decide carefully before anything goes live, especially for really sensitive stuff. They support their customers, giving them tools to be responsible too. And this last one is so important. They learn. They're constantly researching, listening, and evolving. It's not a static checklist, it's a living, breathing process.
And look, this isn't a problem that only a handful of giant corporations can solve. These principles apply to any organization that's building, or even just using AI systems. Every single leader has a role to play here. So what does that look like on the ground? Well, first, it's about who's in the room. You need diverse teams, not just coders, but social scientists, ethicists, people who can see the blind spots. Second, you have to be deliberate about your data. Intentionally gather inclusive data sets. Third, you have to build checks for bias into the process from the very beginning, not as an afterthought. And finally, and this is non-negotiable, you need a human in the loop always. There has to be a way for a person to review, and if necessary, override an AI's decision.
Building out this playbook is a massive step, but it all leads to what might just be the single most important realization in this entire field of responsible AI.
This quote from researchers at Berkeley Haas just hits the nail on the head. We can't just de-bias AI. It's not a bug we can just patch and fix. Why? Because the bias isn't just a technical problem, it's a human problem. It's a reflection of our complicated, messy, and often unfair world.
And that's the big takeaway. Responsible AI isn't a finish line you cross. It's a continuous process. A process of mitigation, of constant vigilance, of ongoing conversation. It is, and always will be, a human responsibility, not just a technical problem we can solve once and then forget about.
So in the end, AI is a mirror. Right now, it reflects our world back to us, warts and all of our biases, all of our flaws. The challenge for all of us is to figure out how to build a mirror that doesn't just show us who we are now, but one that helps us see and become who we want to be. The real question isn't just how we build better machines, it's how we build a better world for them to learn from.